That's a big ass fish. That's a monster, Mike. Good job.
And that's why we're obviously outdoorsmen. And good morning, everybody. I am Mike with Obviously Outdoorsmen, and welcome to the Obviously Outdoorsmen podcast with First Light Talk number 32. And here at the Obviously Outdoorsmen podcast, we like to start things off with a current news article and then hop into the topic later on in this podcast. But first things first, I want to tell you about the Obviously Outdoorsmen podcast. If you guys are new here, we put out daily content every morning about hunting, fishing, how-to topics. We put out daily videos all across our TikToks, into Instagrams, Facebooks, everywhere across the social media world. We are posting daily and just always. So if you guys are new, please subscribe to our YouTube to be notified every single time we post a daily video, teaching people how to harvest bigger bucks, teaching people hunting tactics, fishing tactics, catching bigger fish, how-tos in the woods, after you harvest an animal, butchering. We do everything here at Obviously Outdoorsmen. So if you guys are new, please subscribe to us, please follow us, and just leave some comments down below if you have any questions or any comments, all right? Thank you, and please head on over there and do that. But back to today's current news article. Right, today's article is about Western states open new efforts to delist grizzly bears. All right, this is coming from MeatEater.com. There are multiple efforts going on with the efforts to delist 2 grizzly bear population segments from the endangered species list. All right, that being from the greater Yellowstone region and the northern continental divide. Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming basically have created an agreement on trying to delist the greater Yellowstone grizzlies, and the Montana governor announced that the state is petitioning the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to remove the northern continental divide population from the endangered species list. All right, the greater Yellowstone region population is estimated to be well over 1,100 bears, which is well above management goals. Opposing groups say that the threshold should be bumped to 2,000, but biologists say that is well beyond the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. And in recent years, the greater Yellowstone grizzlies was put on and off the endangered species list twice. But in the end of the day, with management procedures trying to be put into place and environmentalists trying to keep hunting off the table, something will need to keep the population in check. Something will need to happen. All right, they need to be kept in check. They need to be kept thriving, but not overpopulated. Animal activist groups will keep changing the parameters and boundaries in order to keep grizzlies on the threatened species list indefinitely, right? Because it's their main fundraising animal. It makes them the most amount of money for tourists and outsiders to come view these animals. But the people that encounter them way more, like not tourists, people like hunters, ranchers, and locals, know that they are dangerous animals and feel like their opinions and facts are not being heard because they're being drowned out by all of the activists and animal rights people. The landscape is changing for these bears each year. And with food and habitat loss, everything's changing every single year. All right, changing in the food, changing in the habitat. And with there being no hunting season and really no predator to these grizzly bears, yes, there will be certain instances where like wolves and other things will kill a grizzly bear or other grizzly bears, right? If it's just left to the wild, grizzly bears' natural predator is themselves, all right? They will attack each other. So without an outside force like humans hunting them and there being an actual hunting season and regulation on them, all right, the population will boom and will be extremely unhealthy to the ecosystem and the species that share the woods with grizzlies, all right? No matter the species, if there's too many of a species, it's harmful to the ecosystem, all right? Food will fluctuate. If there's too much hawks, right, the mice population and the rodent population will suffer, and then that will it's like a cascading effect. So if there's too many hawks, that means there are less mice, which in turn eventually will kill out the hawks, and then like all the undergrowth will come up. All right, it's just a whole bunch of different aspects that will just cascade into failure and demolishing of the ecosystem that I'm not going to get into today. That's a whole nother podcast on itself on how the ecosystem just naturally balances itself out. All right, so the they're open to new efforts to delist the grizzly bears. These western states, all right, the population is up to a management level to where a hunting season should be put into place to regulate these bears, and it's just a matter of time now to actually get the ball and the rock moving just past these activists and animal rights people and just get it through the government, because eventually, if they just keep it like no season, no nothing, there will be some issues, and eventually this population is going to get too big and there will be some type of hunt or something in place to manage these bears. But on to today's topic. And again, guys, if you guys are new to the Obviously Outdoorsman podcast, please follow us, please subscribe to us, and just share it with anyone. Share it with your mother, share it with your brother, your hunting buddy. Just share it with anyone. It will help us out. And if you think anyone just needs to hear this topic of anything with the outdoors, hunting, fishing, tips, how-tos, all right, just send it on over to them. And we're just trying to help out and teach as many people as possible. But today's topic, all right, don't listen to them. That's a broad topic right there, but don't listen to them. And this is what I mean by that. Hunters nowadays are very opinionated, and many have the mindset looking at others that if they aren't following their same ways of hunting and management, then they are a lesser person and lesser hunter of them. Whether it's in the form of what weapon you use or you choose to use, whether compound, crossbow, rifle, shotgun, spear, or trapping, or if someone chooses to shoot a smaller, younger buck or a doe versus a mature buck, hunting is a sport. It's an activity. It's a lifestyle that is in a dying breed of people. And as hunters, we are supposed to be supporting each other, helping each other out, and no matter the reason you choose to hunt, whether because you do it for food, it's a family tradition, you love the meat, you love the chase and journey, or for whatever reason, we call ourselves hunters. And if you are new to this sport, you are going to experience backlash, pushback, beliefs, and ideas that are either conflicting or problemsome, from anti-hunters to activists to vegans, or what should be your fellow hunting buddies. All right, you're going to face some conflicts between all of these. They'll say you're an asshole for killing an animal, hunting is cruel, don't use a gun, it's cheating, don't use bait, it's cheating, let that young buck walk, it's too young, you should have gave that buck another year, don't use a crossbow, don't use these broadheads, don't buy this camo, buy this camo instead, blah, 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 blah. All right, we are hunting because it's special to us, and maybe you can only afford the gear that you have. Whatever you can afford, that's what you're going to buy. And that's generally with everything. Maybe we just want meat, so we shoot a doe. All right? Hunt for the reasons you believe that are ethical. All right? Whatever the reasons you believe in, if they're ethical, do them. That's why you're out there. And take in everyone's suggestions and test and try them for yourselves on what you want to do. People are always going to hate and have opinions, no matter what it may be. No matter what advice or tips or tactics someone gives me, I'm always taking that with a grain of salt, and I'm going to try them for myself. All right, my biggest comparison with this, all right, everyone, all the hunters, or not all the hunters, but many hunters will complain about expandable broadheads. All right, they say that they don't expand, they don't work, blah, blah, blah. All right, the biggest one, because I personally use Rage broadheads. I love Rage broadheads. They make a massive hole in the animal, and it puts them down every time. All right, generally, and people try and push me off of Rage broadheads, whether it's because they had a bad experience with them or they know someone that had a bad experience with them. They always try and push me off of Rage broadheads. And in my opinion, and I think this is pretty factual, you can kill a deer with a field point. You can kill a deer with a needle if you hit them in the right place. All right. Your goal is to aim for the most ethical shot, whether it's a double lung shot, it's right in the brain for some people, right through the heart, no matter what it may be. You can kill them with a pin needle if you choose to. All right. You can kill them with a dart. All right. You can kill them with a field point. The whole point of using an expandable is for when you miss. You're trying to make, or not miss, but you make a less than accurate shot from what you were planning on. You're making not the shot you wanted. You made a bad shot, okay, but you still hit the animal. And you can kill a deer with a field point if you hit them in the heart perfectly. But if you shoot them in the guts with a field point, they're probably going to live. But if you make a little questionable shot, maybe something they turned or you deflection, if you hit them straight in the back leg, right? If you're using a fixed broadhead or not a big width of cutting diameter coming from the broadhead. Like if you're just using a tiny cutting diameter broadhead, like if most fixed blades, and you hit them in that back leg, you're probably not going to hit anything sufficient, right? A lot of normal broadheads are like an inch and a quarter, inch and maybe a half cut. So when I go to a rage and it's a 2-inch cut, 2.5-inch cut, it's going to be a lot less room for error, or a lot more room for error, actually, if you're using the rage with a 2.5-inch cut. If you hit them in the back leg, whether it be a bad shot, deflection, they turn or they drop, maybe you could catch that artery with a 2-inch rage versus a 1.25-inch fixed broadhead. So that's why. And a lot of people try and turn me off of them. And I've swapped between many broadheads across my hunting career so far. And I've been hunting for about 10, 12 years. I'm 23 years old. I've been hunting since I was like 10, 11 years old. Probably younger. I really don't know the exact age. But I went from thunderheads, I went to muzzies, I went to wasps, I went to annihilator, I went to, you pick it, I probably tried it and shot it. All right, the gnat broadheads, different types of rage broadheads, how they fly. I went to dirt nap. I went through probably 10 to 20 different types of broadheads just to try and find the ones that I like. And yes, the rages don't last as long, because if you pass through an animal and you hit a rock, a blade's probably going to break off, but you made the shot. That's what counts. But if you're using a fixed blade, that you may be able to shoot more than the one animal. And I have shot like five to 10 deer on one broadhead on a rage before. But generally with fixed broadheads, you can shoot them longer, they last longer, but they have that smaller diameter. They don't fly the same as a field point flying broadhead with a 2.5-inch cutting diameter. So what I did was, when everyone's trying to tell me to use the Ramcat or the Annihilator broadheads, whatever it may be, I tried everything. I didn't like how they flew. I didn't like how they made a blood trail on the animal, so I always went back to rage. And now I'm really just sticking with rage for good now. I think it's a great price for a 3-pack of rages, and they're just getting tougher and tougher to where you can just bounce them off walls and they still work amazing. So just take everyone's advice and opinions and just take it and then try it. If you don't like it, do what you think is best. You don't have to do what everyone thinks, right? I like certain types of camos. Other people think they don't need camo, right? It's all based on their own opinion. I like the compound bow. I don't like the crossbow. I have tried the crossbow. I have killed a couple deer with them, but I keep going back to the compound because that's what I love to do. I'm not a big gun person. I like using a bow and arrow. That's what I like using. So everyone has their own things, and kudos to them if they are enjoying it and it's their passion. They're still getting out in the woods. They're still contributing, right? They're still hunting, right? We are all hunters in the end of the day, whether you wear Walmart camo or Sitka gear, or whether you use a compound bow or a rifle, right? We are all hunters in the end of the day. And my best advice, like I've said in many of the previous podcasts, find a mentor and test and trial and error for yourself. A mentor, a good mentor, is going to be the best thing you could possibly do. They can just show you the ropes from A to Z on all their mistakes that they've learned from to teach you not to do these mistakes. And if you don't know anyone that hunts, just message us, all right? Message us through Instagram, Facebook, all right? Go through TikTok, you go through YouTube comments, you could email us at obviously.outdoorsmen@gmail.com, right? You can just message us, and I mean, shit, if you just want to talk, shoot the shit about hunting, we will talk all day long, and we will have no problem doing it. If you just want to text us back and forth and just talk about hunting, if you have any questions, just send it over, right? And do what you love and feel fulfilled. That's the whole point of hunting, right? I was growing up in hunting, and my father taught me how to do it, and from like day one, I just kind of grasped onto hunting and fishing and the outdoors, and I just never let go, and I took it and ran with it. And no matter the reason, just do it because you love it, and just go in wholeheartedly. Don't half-ass it, and just really tackle it head on. Do it because you love it. And if you guys are trying to take a life of an animal, make sure you're accurate, make sure you're shooting straight, make sure you're really ethical in your shots, and just feel fulfilled, because at the end of the day, when you harvest an animal, you should feel very fulfilled that you just accomplished something very hard to do, and that you're feeding your family. You're fulfilling everything, that you put all this practice in and it finally paid off. All right, just feel fulfilled. Do it because you love it. Don't listen to anyone. All right, it's not like any other sport. It's special and unique. Hunting is one of them rare sports where you kill things and you're able to self-sustain yourself off of killing and catching, right? Same thing with fishing, right? You can go out there and actively use a weapon to get close to an animal, take an animal's life, and then take it and eat it and hang it on the wall and use it for clothing if you want to, or decoration, or tools, or knives, or knife handles, right? There's many things you can do with an animal, and as long as you're doing it the right way, the ethical way, and using as much of the animal that you possibly can use, right? It's a unique sport, and it's not for everyone. It's really not for everyone. I suggest everyone should try it, right? And try hunting, try just getting into it. Start with shooting first, see if you like shooting, and then if you get past that, then try hunting. And if you take an animal's life and you don't like it, you never have to do it again. But I highly suggest doing it. Highly suggest at least trying to get into it, because it's one of the most fulfilling things on this planet. And the rush that it gives you afterwards, you get such an emotional high off of it. You get just a roller coaster of emotions, from just crying sadness to happiness. And it's not a sadness because you just ended an animal's life, but sometimes it is, whether you made a bad shot or whatever else. But it's just a roller coaster of emotions, from maybe initially like high-fiving and just cheering because you've all this work and finally paid off, and you made the perfect shot. And then once you come up on the animal, maybe you tear up because you've been working so hard at it, and you're finally coming to an end on that story with that animal. And then you're able to feed your family and feed you guys for the rest of the year, right? It's a unique sport, and I highly suggest doing it. It's very hard to do, but it's very fulfilling when you do it right. But that's really it, guys. Just don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to the activists, right? Don't even fuel their fire, right? If they are attacking you and they're trying to belittle you and hate on you, then they got something wrong going on in their own lives, right? You know what you're doing. You know why you're doing it. And that's really all that matters. Do it for yourself. Learn and take the best tips and apply them, and then you have your own advice to give other people. Whether they listen to you or not, that's on their own doing, but at least you know for you're doing the most right thing as possible that you could possibly do, and that's really it in the end of the day. Do it because you love it, and just share the sport with anyone you could possibly can do. Share the sport with anyone that you can possibly share it with. That's the main reason why I started this YouTube channel, started this podcast, started everything. Obviously Outdoorsmen. It started as Ultimate NJ Outdoorsman, and it changed to Obviously Outdoorsman. But I started it basically just to log my own hunts for myself, and I posted them up here, and a lot of people seemed to like it, so I just kept doing it, and it really got traction. So here I am. And at this point with these podcasts, we are 32 episodes in, and I'm just trying to share my wealth of knowledge over the past 10, 12 years and all the people that I've hunted with and all the encounters that I have had to try and help everyone out there, whether you are a newbie or a seasoned hunter. If I can give you one tip that maybe changes your day or changes your hunt or changes how you look at hunting, then please subscribe to us and follow us so we know we're doing a good job over here at Obviously Outdoorsmen. Right, that's really it, guys. I appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your day to listening to this podcast. And again, if you guys are new, just please hit that follow button, subscribe to us, and share this with anyone. All right, that is it. Have a great day, and on to tomorrow's First Light Talk of the Obviously Outdoorsman podcast. Number 33 will be tomorrow, and tomorrow's topic will be bucks driven by testosterone. That's it, guys. Again, I said that's it like 900 times, but again, don't listen to them. And the current news article, again, was Western states open new efforts to delist grizzly bears. If you guys want to check that article out, you can just go over to meateater.com and just search that title of the Western states with the delisting grizzly bears if you want to check it out. If you guys are watching on YouTube, that article will be listed in the description below. And you can find all of our other 31 other First Light Talk, Obviously Outdoorsmen podcast here on YouTube or on any audio platform like Spotify, Apple Podcast, Oversight, Anchor, whatever it may be. You can just check them out wherever it may be. That is it for the 9,000th time. I am Mike with Obviously Outdoorsmen. Enjoy your day, hit the gym, and tear it up out there. Peace.